So this is Clive's old yard, is it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Clive trained here over 40 years.
40 years.
Yeah.
Blimey.
We've been here since January 2017, which I'm quite sure where the time's gone, but we're entering our 7th season here.
The particular reason why you decided to come here rather than anywhere else in town?
You know, there's not that many yards available, but really this is one of the iconic yards in Newmarket.
Yeah.
You know, it's got brilliant location.
How many staff have you got?
We're probably at the moment between 80 and 90. But, you know, when we get into the summer months and we get a few of the seasonal staff back from Dubai and various other places, you know, we top 100 staff in the season.
Some operation.
A lot of people, yeah. But you need a lot of people for it to run, and for it to run smoothly.
What's easier, managing the people or the horses?
You probably know the answer to that.
The horses! It always amazes me when I come to these great yards that you just see just how much dedication there is going on. I mean, we're up at what? Here 5:45 in the morning.
Yeah.
These guys would have been in from what, 5ish, some of them?
Yeah, well, the majority would be here 5:15 to 5:30. But, you know, some of the early birds, some of the managers who were in unlocking, feeding the horses, checking around, they would have been in 4 o'clock.
Do you sleep?
Very well.
What time's your alarm go off?
The alarm's just after 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
I can have a snooze occasionally, which gets me an elbow from Hanako, of course. But
Good morning.
morning, Miharu. You know, when someone visits a yard and sees all these horses, of course they think, how do you remember them all? But really, when you're with them every day, they do, sounds daft, they become a little bit like your kids. You know them from a mile off, you know?
Yeah. Numbers-wise, where are you at the minute?
Similar to last year, so we house at the moment about 180, and we'd have about 200 on the books, so we'd have a few out and about.
Yeah.
But the majority here, like this filly, she's called Madara. She's only ran twice. She's a 4-year-old. She's slow to come to hand, but she'd be nice this year, I think.
Madara.
This is David Egan. Jockey David Egan.
Yeah. I recognised him. Morning, David. Morning, yeah, good.
I came here as a young green 16-year-old and didn't really know what being part of a full-time racing yard was like, but he thankfully took me under his wing and nurtured me and brought me along slowly. I definitely wasn't ready to be thrown in the deep end, which he understood from early on, and thankfully he sort of let me mature into the jockey I am today, and I've got him to thank for that. So he's someone who is a deep thinker, always thinks before he speaks, and yeah, he's a very good boss.
How does he like you to ride his horses? Is there a particular Roger Varian way?
Absolutely, but I think from riding for him over the last number of years, I've got to know how he likes his horses to be ridden, whether that's a horse who's ran a dozen times or it's a horse first time out. He's got his preferences, but the good thing about me is I can get to know the horses.
One of my close associates said to me the other day, he said, looking at the string, I think we've got the best team ever. I said, Stephen, we said that last year and the year before and the year before. So I think this time of year, you look at the paper, you know, you look at your allocated horses, you look at them every day over the winter, and of course you naturally get excited about them, and we do it every year. But I always find the reality hits at Newmarket's Craven meeting when you're stood there with your best prospects, or some of your best prospects, and you're stood there and you look at the race card and you're in a field of 12 and you see what John Gosden's got running and Charlie Appleby's got running and William Haggis has got running and whoever else has got running, and you think, cool, maybe we're not as strong as we thought we were. So when you're just surrounded by your own stuff, you can get sometimes ahead of yourself. That's John Lowe just rode past us there, age 72.
John Lowe, former Northern jockey.
That's right.
God, I remember.
Yeah.
And he's riding at 72?
Yeah.
That's good, it makes me feel young.
Yeah.
I hope I'm still reporting at 72. That's a huge stand school.
Yeah, we put that in 2020 and we started it in January and finished it in April.
Yeah.
So we call it pre-COVID expenditure.
Pre-COVID.
Things got a bit tight afterwards. Joe, you're just going to come a canter like you did last week. Very controlled, medium pace. Just let her enjoy herself. On the bridle, just building up through the 7, okay?
How much can you learn from just this?
Well, you sort of learn from every part of a day, and this is just a little part of a day. Last night we were, doing evening stables, which is, to me, equally as important as the morning. It's when we're going into their boxes, we're taking the rugs off them, we're looking, at their physiques, how they're doing physically, how they've tightened up through the week, how their coats are looking. That's a very important part of it.
When you said to me back there, I think that's a nice horse, he's unexposed, had the one run, and you go into sort of end of November, December, how anxious are those months when you've got to wait until March, April?
I wouldn't call them anxious, but I think it's just, you just want, by the end of the autumn, you want to collect a nice team for next year. So as much as we want to, squeeze every bit out of the season that you're in, we're always conscious that come January the 1st, we go back to 0.
Yeah.
And however good a year you had, is quickly forgotten.
I always wonder with trainers that how, when you have an exciting prospect, whether it's a colt or a filly, how you resist the temptation not to keep going to the well, to know when to stop. Is that a difficult decision to make sometimes when you're trying to compete with the other big names?
I think so, yeah. I think there's a lot of big decisions which are not easy, certainly not as easy as they might seem from the outside, and really at the end of the day it's down to your knowledge and your opinion and what you feel is right for the horse. And if it's right for the horse, then really it's right for the owner and it's right for everyone. Doesn't mean you're going to make the right decision all the time, but you're going to make what you think at the time is the right decision, and that's the most important thing. But it's not easy because they are animals and they can't talk to you. So you've got to get inside them as well as you can, know them as best as you can. And I think if you look at some of the really good trainers around over the history of the game, they seem to know those good horses when to pull the trigger.
Do you get the sense you're on the verge of something really exciting here, challenging the likes of Gosden?
Yeah, absolutely. I know the boss, since I'm sure he started training, he had a long-term goal. He's obviously grown year in, year out, and last year was obviously a very successful season, but knowing the boss, he'll want to build on that and get even better. The boss is someone who lets his horses do the talking, so hopefully his successful season will do that this year.
Happy?
I'm happy. But do you hear the odd cough?
Yes.
I like to hear no coughs.
No.
Now, we're not all coughing, but we just hear the odd one and you think, oh, who was that? And if, a lot of these horses are going to do some fast work this morning. If they've coughed before, I won't work them because you just want to make sure that they're okay. So these horses, we're going to take on waterhaul, which is a lovely exercise, on the grass this morning.
Perfect. We shall follow on.
So this is a nice spot. This is very quiet, and the horses enjoy it. They love coming around here. Get them on the grass.
I've never been to this gallop in Newmarket in my life before. Why is it so popular with all the big yards in particular?
Well, it's good, particularly for the colts, the big heavy colts. We actually don't need to go too quick around here. As I say, it's sort of a conditioning gallop, really. But it gets them a bit further from home, and you'll see once the horses come around and they pull up, they'll walk back the other side of the trees past us, and then they'll canter home. Now that's the first one's coming. Do you see the first three coming along there?
Yeah, here we are. And do you just let them quicken up a little bit?
Yeah, we said just get round the bend, and then once you straighten out, just for a couple of furlongs, just let them
have a bit of a breeze.
Exactly. I love rider feedback.
Yeah.
Because I can only see so much.
Right.
And it looked all right to me. Did it look all right to you?
Roger, I'm going to say yes, but I'm not sure you should set your season on my opinion.
No, but you and I would both know when it's gone wrong.
Yes.
And it looked okay to me, but the riders would have felt something at the 2 furlong marker or pulling up now.
Gone are the days where one man or woman did everything, because this is big business, isn't it? So it's like any industry, you must need your factory floor manager, shop stewards, whatever, to make it function.
Exactly. And you need it, A, because it's good practice. When you train a lot of horses, or when you have, it doesn't have to be horses, when you have a bigger business and you have a lot to cover every day, you know, the most important thing is attention to detail. So we find the best way to maintain that attention, to nail the small detail, is to give people manageable roles. And the other thing is that, you know, 15 years ago or 20 years ago, you know, the mornings were shorter. All the yards in Newmarket had 3 lots, and you weren't in the yard so long a morning. Now we're 5 lots. You know, we all face similar challenges staffing our yards. We don't have as many riders at our disposal for the number of horses we train as we used to. So we're now a 5-lot yard through the winter, a 4-lot yard through the summer, and it all takes a bit longer for the work to get done. So you can't expect people to be here first one in and last one home. It's too long. Do you know what I mean?
Understood. Let you go and do your important work.
All right, Matty. You like him? He's got a good mind, hasn't he?
Lovely mind.
Yeah.
Do whatever you want with him.
It always amazes me that all you top trainers are out there mixing. It's a bit like Arsenal and Man City sharing the same training ground. So are you able to keep secrets or not? Or are you all there to learn everybody else's secrets?
I don't know. Other trainers might answer it differently, but I've always felt we've so much to focus on ourselves. You know, you really genuinely don't have time to worry about anyone else's horses.
He or she's doing.
As they're coming, you know, up the hill and on the gallops. You don't know what they are, you know, what their program is. We chat, you know, and generally there's, you know, there's quite good friendships amongst trainers, and, you know, there's a bit of banter. And I think it's quite nice about a job that we can sort of get on and do it, and we can do it professionally. It's competitive, of course, you know. You want
the camaraderie as well?
Yeah, I think so. You want to beat your neighbour, but there generally is a bit of camaraderie, I think. Here's John.
There's John.
But you can easily confuse yourself.
Good morning. I'm good. I got another victim today. Well done.
Is he all right, David? Give it a bit more relaxed. And that's first lot done.
First lot, marvellous.
1 lot out the way. Was he all right, Sammy? Yeah. Was he okay, Mark?
Yeah, he feels great in himself. It's just had 3-4 pops.
3 or 4 more?
Yeah.
We're going to scope him, you know, Mark, yeah? You want to see your horses jumping around.
Yeah.
You know, once they come in here and they all look a bit placid and they, you know,
You'd be worried.
you'd be worried.
Yeah.
You know, you'd say, cool, they're a bit too quiet.
Yeah.
That was the trophy for the first year of the Racing League.
Oh, right, yes.
And myself and Ed Dunlop, James Fanshawe. This is the honours board, so we've got the Group 1 winners here and all the pictures of the Group 1 winners. I mean, somehow that...
That's taking
Racing
pride in
League,
place.
yeah, taking pride in place. But
This must fill your heart with, I mean,
yeah,
this is what counts above all, doesn't it?
yeah.
Is the one there that stands out most of all out of all those Group 1s for you?
I'd struggle to pick one out above the rest. I mean, you could say your first one.
Yeah.
You know, Narain winning the Opera. That was the first year we trained on Arc Day. Frankie in the saddle. Photo finish. Took him 5 minutes to call the photo. Then there was a steward's inquiry. We didn't know we'd won for 15 minutes. You know, that was special. Kingston Hill winning the St. Ledger, the first Classic, was special. Of course, like Postponed winning the Shima Classic in Dubai. You know, that was special.
2 St. Ledgers, those, that must, I mean, that's a very special race, isn't it?
Yeah. you know, wind the clock back 10 years and said you won 2 St. Ledgers, you know, you wouldn't believe it. So you actually don't think about it, but if you step out of your own bubble, your private bubble of your day-to-day, you know, busyness of life and the pressures of life, you step out and look in, you say, okay, we're doing all right.
There are so many wonderful Group 1s on here already, and there are plenty more, but if I could say to you just now, 2023, which one would you add? Is it too obvious to say the Derby?
No, I mean, the Derby's really the answer. I don't know if we've got a Derby horse in the yard, most likely not this year, but so if you didn't limit it to the year and you said, what race can you put on this board or on your CV?
Epsom Derby.
Yeah. Above everything else, I think. But there's, you know, there's a few that come in short head behind, don't they? You know, you'd love to win a 2,000 guineas. You know, you'd love to win an Arc de Triomphe. I mean, there's a whole host of races which are iconic in our sport, aren't they? That you'd love to.
Well, as you said, plenty of room.
Bit to work on, yeah. Yeah.
It's a wonderful facility. That's a beauty. Yeah, first lot for me, that would be all right now, I think. Oh, brilliant.
It's a good place to make your tricky phone calls on my rocking horse. You can gently rock away and...
Don't tell me you go on the rocking horse.
Do you sometimes, yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
Now, coffee?
How would Roger Varian describe Roger Varian?
That's a tough question, isn't it? I guess I'd hope I'm considered, confident. I do something every day which I genuinely have a passion for, but I also do something every day which requires you to be successful. We're in a public results business. I think with that comes a bit of natural worry, pressure. So you can be confident in what you do, which I think I am, conscious of failure. I think that's quite near the surface. Maybe that's what drives you forward.
People talk in racing all the time, obviously in your industry, you'll know the phrase black type. When people would look at your CV, you've ridden for Josh Gifford, you grew up in Newmarket really under Michael Jarvis. That is probably the highest black type that you can get anywhere. How influential were those two individuals on where you are now?
Yeah, it's a good analogy, isn't it? Very lucky to work for them both. Very similar but very different people. You know, very similar in that, you know, two of the great gentlemen of the game. Both very fair men. You know, hard men had you know, worked their way up themselves in the industry. But you know, very lucky to have, you know, had the years in Findon under Josh Gifford. That was what I'd call my university years, and it was just a great time. Of course, I was lucky to work with Michael for 10 years, really. I mean, a little bit longer, but to be his assistant for 10 years. Michael Jarvis was very, very accomplished at what he did. I think widely considered by his peers as a great trainer, which when you get respect from your peers, I guess that's when you know you've really cracked it. And Michael was very well respected in the training ranks, and again, just a wonderful person.
Clearly those two individuals shaped you from that perspective. There are, of course, other circumstances in life that can shape your view and the way that you go. You and your family did suffer a great tragedy with the loss of your brother. Can I just ask you how that affected how you view this industry, how you affect winning and losing, how you view life in general?
Well, I think it leaves a mark on you how you view life, really, because, you know, unfortunately we hear about tragedy every day of the week on the news. There's families suffering huge tragedy, a lot of public tragedy. There's a lot of tragedy happening that none of us are aware of. But you never think it's going to happen to you, or you never think it's going to affect your own family. I think once it does, your perception on life changes a little bit. I guess I can only relate it to what we do here with the horses, as I don't think ever, as tough as things sometimes are in our industry, I don't think, you know, we've been through the toughest thing that we're going to encounter in life. So whatever happens out there or in here, you know, we can deal with, and we can put things in perspective. Doesn't always make things easy, but we can put things in perspective, probably more so than I would have ever been able to do, having we had not suffered the tragedy of losing Chris the way we did.
On a brighter and happier note, the future looks really rosy for this whole yard. What are your long-term ambitions other than just training numerical winners?
Well, the ambition is always to aim for quality over quantity. What we really want is both. You know, we want a large stable, we want to train a lot of horses. With that, we hope the numbers and the quantity takes care of itself. But it's really, you know, the quality. It's the high level stuff. It's, you know, it's the top races, and being involved on the Group 1 table, which, you know, really is what we're striving for. And I think that we've assembled a really strong team for the year. I think we've got depth in the older horse division. The 3-year-olds look promising, and so far I like the look of the 2-year-olds coming through. So I think we're in position, and I think we've got the foundation to have another really good year.
Before we go out, because I know you've got work to do, we've talked a lot about pressure, so I'm going to apply a tiny bit of pressure. 140 winners last year, so is 141 this year a good year, and is that the target?
I loved to better last year, and when you have a good year, it can be daunting in a little way to think, how are we going to better last year? Last year was great. But I think what we strive to do is keep the graph pointing in the right direction, and in order for it to do that, you've got to strive to beat last year. And so yes, I would take 141 winners this year, but hope we get a few more. Okay, Ravi, how are you?
Yeah, good, thank you.
How was your holiday?
Yeah, good, sir.
Yeah. This is Charin. Charin's a 3-year-old, and he's a pretty smart horse. He was a Group 2 winning 2-year-old. He was third to our other horse, Sakheer. He was third in the Mill Reef, and then he went to Chantilly and he won a Group 2 over 6 furlongs. He could come out in something like the Greenham Stakes at Newbury, Trials Week. And he's in the English Guineas and he's in the Irish Guineas as well. This is Eldar Eldarov.
This is Eldar Eldarov, the Ledger winner.
And Alan Rutter. Alan took him through all his paces last year, got him to Ascot, got him to a St Ledger for us.
Wow.
Happy with him, Al?
Yeah, yeah.
We're not in any rush with him. We did have him entered at Meydan for the Dubai Gold Cup,
Yeah.
but we sort of shelved that idea about a month ago, just thinking it would be a bit of a rush to get there. And we're going to allow him just to warm into his season a little bit like he did last year. And we might consider something like the Sagaro Stakes at Ascot, or maybe even the Yorkshire Cup at York, and try and come through one of those May races.
Who'll have the final say, you or the work rider?
He tells us. We don't know, he tells us.
He looks incredibly relaxed. Is he like that?
Yeah, no, he's a nice horse to have anything to do with. And one thing about him, he just wants to please you.
Oh.
And he makes the job easy. So.
His mid-season goal is to line up with a chance in the Ascot Gold Cup. We like, of course, we like good horses. Sprinters, milers, middle distance horses.
Yeah.
We don't mind, but we like good horses.
Yes.
But I think what's fun about having a very good staying horse is there's a potential, like Stradivarius did, there's a potential of that horse being with you for a few years. Of course, Kripios is the great horse in that division at the moment, isn't he? You know,
Yeah.
he'll be a hard nut to crack this year, but it'll be really fun if Eldar Eldarov can.
Think you got the ammunition to take
Well,
him
I
on?
think he potentially has. He was very good at Ascot last year, he was very good in the St Leger. If he finds a bit of improvement as he gets older, which he's likely to, you know, hopefully he's a horse who could certainly challenge. George, let him walk up to me. So this is Sakheer coming here.
Right. Here we go. So this is this the apple of the eye at the moment?
Oh, he's one of them. He's a lovely horse. He looked very good last year, didn't he?
He did look special.
And we're pleased with him. He's wintered well. And I think he's right where we want him to be at the moment. With the 2,000 guineas very much in our mind. You're happy? Ready to go?
How anxious do you get when you know you've got a horse like that potentially just to run in the guineas? Is first and foremost. How do you have to measure from doing too much to doing too little?
Well, you have to try to not think of it as a guineas and think of it as you've got to get the horse 110% ready on the day. And you know, that's what we're trying to do with them all. And we've all got different
targets. So whether
targets.
it was a maiden at Newbury or Newmarket, it's the same preparation to the guineas?
Well, it's setting your target and it's getting there 100%.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to ask the guys to stop walking backwards now. So.
Obviously, with your lovely wife, Hanako, we met briefly this morning, you've got this huge connection with Japan. Is that another really crucial part of this business because of the strength and the interest out there?
I think so, yeah. I mean, I think, you know, hopefully, you know, it makes us a little bit of an attractive, you know, proposition for Japanese owners to have horses with, if they have an interest of having a horse, you know, in Europe or in the UK. You know, no doubt, you know, with Hanako and through Hanako, our chance of training a horse for a Japanese owner is maybe, you know, higher than other trainers, and I think that's great. But you know, the Japanese people are just wonderful people, and once you get to know them and their culture, you know, they're great people to be involved with. And what they're doing, you know, with their own stock in Japan and how competitive and successful they've been on the international stage, I think we'll be going out there trying to learn from them soon, won't we? As opposed to them coming here to learn off us.
Nobody knows your husband better than you do. Talking to him this morning, he's very calm, very relaxed. Is he always like that?
He is always like that. He sometimes drives me mad. He's very, very calm towards the friends and family, and very kind. Maybe too kind sometimes.
What are his strengths?
Like you mentioned, probably the calmness and, you know, analyze before he say anything to anyone, and he always deal everything quietly, never raise a voice, even in the very difficult, you know, circumstances. And after the racing, he need about 5 seconds of quiet time if the result didn't deliver, but 10 seconds later he'll be fine.
We spent some time in your lovely owner's facility behind here, and obviously you know there's the board with all the Group 1 winners. Obviously there are some Group 1s that are not on that board at the minute, and I asked Roger which one he wanted most. Which one do you think he said?
Probably Epsom Derby. Yeah.
You know him well.
Yeah. Yeah, we were second once. That was quite close, but it was early on in our business. And we thought it's quite easy to get to second, but you know, to have a runner in Derby is exceptionally difficult.
He was very complimentary about you, about how much support you provide to him. How aware are you of that?
I don't think I'm very supportive. I'll be in and out whenever I can, because I would love to be, you know, I wanted to be a trainer one day, you know, when I was younger. So obviously I want to be with the horses from early morning to the evening, but my circumstances not allow me to do that at the moment. Yeah, so you know, he's doing well. It means a lot to me because then I don't have to train.
You've added the Platinum Queen.
Yes.
How excited about her to your sprinting ranks?
Yeah, she's not out now, but she's an exciting filly, isn't she? I mean, she was very good last year. Winning the Abbey was a really incredible performance. I think the programme is tough for her early season. You know, fillies sprinting at Group 1 level, it's not a straightforward, easy, you know, programme to map out for her. But, you know, if she can find a little bit of improvement, you know, she's gone from 2 to 3, you know, she could be good enough to, you know, as she showed in the Abbey in France, race against her elders and be better than them. So she's exciting, yeah.
Is the one that you're really looking forward to seeing, that may have run, may not have run?
I think the way Sakheer won the Mill Reef at Newbury, he looked a high-class colt. He didn't get his opportunity at Group 1 level as a 2-year-old. I'm sure he'll have his opportunity as a 3-year-old. We're very excited about him. He's got to prove himself at a mile if he's going to be a Guineas contender. There's always the option of coming back sprinting if that's going to be his forte. Our season is, I think we work within quite a small window. You know, we work within the spring, summer and autumn, but really we're talking turf season, April to October, and there's not a lot of time there for things to go wrong. So, you know, you can't delay things when you
can't just keep cherry picking races where nobody else is going to turn up.
I think you can, to a certain extent, once you know your horse's ability, and especially the better ones, their maps almost plan themselves. You know where you're going. But I think just your horses, in terms of getting them started and getting young horses started, I think that you've got to train them to race, and when they're ready to race, you run them, and then things evolve from that. I think our racing, flat racing I'm talking about, is very competitive, and I think it's competitive from a healthy point of view. I don't think there's obviously the biggest stables, and you know, you'd have to say Charlie Appleby and Godolphin are very strong, and arguably the strongest, but I think there's a lot of depth and a lot of competition at the top, and I think that's healthy. And I think it's as healthy as it's been for a long time from that perspective.
Do you like a challenge?
I don't think you train racehorses if you didn't like a challenge. I love a challenge. I think the sport's challenging. Right, let's stand back 10 yards, because
wherever you want. That's got to be one of the most loveliest sounds.
That's great, isn't it?
In sport.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah.
Well, I was happy again, so
yeah.
Are you happy?
I am happy.
Good,
yeah.
that's 2 out of 2. That's 2 out of 2.
Yeah. Watching that, that's exactly what I wanted to see. That's what I asked for, and they got it spot on. It was good to see.
It's going to be a good season.
Well, I hope so.